Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Previously, none other than Herlock Sholmes himself appeared in court, and it's thanks to him we have the secret weapon we need to blow a hole clear through Ashley Milverton's airtight alibi. And by a hole, I mean a cat flap hole. Because, yes, with this device, the cat flappinator, we can... I'm pretty dang sure we can prove that Ashley's chain of events that he's trying to say doesn't make sense. He says that he looked through the cat flap on the door to the back storeroom before he left. But we know that Susato only created that cat flap in the door well afterwards. This is a contradiction, and I'm pretty dang happy that I'm confident here because the judge has only given us one single chance to get this right. So, I think we're ready. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole in the door, though. I think that's wrong.
Objection!
What on earth is that eccentric contraption, Counsel?
Oh, it's my cat flappinator, my lord. It makes a way for cats to get in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of and make a new little door in the middle of it.
That's right, my lord. It's a device for creating so-called cat flaps. Small doors for cats to come and go as they please without their owners having to open... I'm sure we can all work out that for ourselves.
Oh.
But that cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to this case. Oh, really? Of course it doesn't. To start with, there was no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door. Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I failed to see what this has to do with the matter at hand. Perhaps it would help if I described its function another way, then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all. I beg your pardon? A peephole, you say? 2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Windibank had taken place. That's right. According to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Sholmes. Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time. Your assistant did what? There was a peephole in the storeroom door. I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see inside the locked storeroom. This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say? Of course there was a peephole in the door. I said as much in my testimony. How else could I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake? I'm so glad you just said that. Yes, how could you? What? Counsel, kindly say what you mean. All right, it's time. Time to strike the final blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made that peephole in the storeroom door, and until such time as she did, the door had no hole in it to look through. What? No!
Objection!
This is a farce. Are you really suggesting that the peephole in the door was... Yes, it was created only after the incident had taken place, by my judicial assistant using this device. Your assistant tampered with a crime scene whilst being fully aware of the gravity of her actions? That is a most serious act of vandalism. For which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in the few minutes that I left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in the light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes. Nice. Riddled with? Explain yourself, counsel. The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony that appears to incriminate the defendant is based upon what he witnessed through the peephole in the storeroom door. Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back. However, if at the time of the incident, that peephole did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way that you could have seen what you claim to have seen. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies. Ugh. We got him there. Ordar? Ordar? Ordar! Is there any credence to this revelation?
Objection!
None whatsoever, as my learned friend must surely realize. Exactly. This is just some cheap trick designed to discredit me. I'm afraid not, sir. Of course it is. Do you seriously expect people to believe that plaything can cut through a solid wooden door? We can test it out.
Oh yes, I designed it to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors.
That's absurd. I don't believe it for a second.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
What?
Waggy, cooey, time for dinner.
Oh.
Meow. Well,
Young lady, this is the Old Bailey. One does not make cat flaps in the oak paneling at the Old Bailey. I'm not done yet, don't worry. This doesn't mean that the peephole in the storeroom door at Windibanks was made by your machine. And there's no way you can prove that it was.
no, but it's easy.
What?
The cat flaps my cat flapinator makes are all of a fixed size. And the dimensions of the people at Windibanks are an exact match.
Ugh.
Hee old Silky's lost for words.
Excellent work, Iris. Thank you. And now it's my learned student friend's turn to be lost for words, I feel. I believe your judicial assistant has already left the country for your Eastern Island home. Well, yes, that's true. Then you may have some difficulty in establishing all of the facts. For the sake of argument, let us assume the peephole has dimensions that are a perfect fit for this contraption. In that case, when was the peephole cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answer. What is the purpose of your line of inquiry, Lord Van Zieks? It's very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the peephole was created after the incident using this device. But now that the perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify to the fact. There is no proof. And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove when the peephole was made, my learned friend's claim amounts to nothing more than a baseless accusation.
What?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Indeed that is so, Lord Van Zieks. Well, counsel?
Don't give up now, Runo.
Oh, right, the security footage. I got it.
This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through.
I don't know if I can do this, but I do know one thing. Susato-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world. Very well. The counsel for the defense will present evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the peephole in the door of Windibank's storeroom was created after the event and not before. Let's see here. Post-shooting, before shooting. Oh my god. Wow. Wow, I see it. Oh, wow. That was really there the entire time, wasn't it? Was it really there the entire time? Oh, wow. Oh, this case is so good.
Take that!
What are you? A print from that detective's infernal cameras again. My judicial assistant, Miss Susato Mikotoba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman, which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered this scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof. And the necessary proof is this photographic print, Counsel. This print shows a scene in the shop moments after the defendant entered the premises. Agreed. And it also shows the accused mercilessly wielding a gun in the direction of the defenseless broker. But more to the point, it pictures the storeroom door in the background. Let me see that print again. I don't believe it. This really is quite remarkable. The door to the storeroom is completely devoid of a peephole of any description. Ugh. Mr. Graydon, you couldn't possibly have witnessed the crime as you claim to have done, because at the time it happened, there was no peephole in the door. Ugh. In other words, your testimony is a catalog of lies. I think we just got him. Order, etc. I am satisfied that the defense has substantiated its claim beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness's testimony was entirely fallacious. That's not the only thing we now know beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant's guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with a crime scene. But more importantly... Good Lord, there's more, Lord Van Zeeks? The defense may have established a reprehensible instance of perjury, but that is no proof that this man is the victim's killer. Yes, that's right. What? I was there at the scene, it's true. And I was shot in the arm, it's true. But that's all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I am the victim here. Oh, please. No. I don't believe this. But they're right. As it stands now, I don't have any definitive proof that he is the culprit.
Still, he can't worm his way out of it now.
Iris?
You know what they say. There's no point locking the cat's door after the cat has bolted. Isn't that right, Runo? As Hurley always says, one lie begets another. No, wait, that might have been a line I wrote for him in one of my stories.
Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you told make no sense. Make no sense? What do you mean by such a remark? What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. other words, there is a fundamental inconsistency in your statements. What?
Objection!
This is provocative talk, counsel. Won't you enlighten the court? Explain this alleged inconsistency. Iris was right. One lie begets another. The inconsistency is revealed by the lies in the witnesses' statements. They show that Mr. Graydon had knowledge of something he shouldn't have known anything about. Namely... Oh. Yeah. Earlier, Ashley said that a third gun was tossed out the cat flap, and he took it with him out of there. But that's impossible with what we now know. The third gun.
Objection!
Do you have any idea what you're saying, my Nipponese friend? Absolutely. I've been studying English hard since I was a child. You fail to catch my meaning. The witness has admitted to removing the gun in question from the scene himself. Oh. Precisely who else but this man could have known of a third gun's existence? But...
What? Keep at it, Runo. Chin up.
After the lengths Jusado-san went to in order to leave the last piece of evidence with me. In fact, perhaps I need to pursue the implications of that further. Then it might all become clear. There's still light in those dark eyes, I see. Will it do you any good, I wonder? This is provocative talk, counsel. Oh. Let's try this again. Alright. Yeah. How would he know there's a peephole in the first place? The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie you concocted that is so revealing. You're not making any sense. Then let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of the peephole in the storeroom door? What? Well, obviously Arg. Has the cat got your tongue, witness? Oh, he said it. The peephole in the door was made after the incident occurred, and once I returned to the shop, having failed to catch the two burglars, Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police have been at Windibanks constantly, carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Well, yes, of course. The place is chock full of pawned articles, and my lads have to thoroughly examine them all. So I gave the order to have officers working around the clock in shifts so we get through it all. And consequently, there's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Therefore, you should have known nothing about the people in the storeroom door. So the fact that its existence forms the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable.
Objection!
And yet, the fact remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place through the peephole in the door. How on earth is that possible? Could I have a word, please, Lord Van Zeeks? Speak, Inspector. It's just that I really ought to be getting back to the station now to put in my report. He's starting to feel the fire lit around him. My God, this man really did collude with Ashley, didn't he? What a shame.
There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, so if it's all the same to you...
Permission denied. Oh. It's not all the same to me, Inspector. Not at all. You will remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes.
Of course, sir.
Mr. Graydon. You shouldn't have known about the existence of that peephole. Which can only mean that you must have been informed about it by somebody else.
Objection!
Stop there, my learned friend. You realize I trust that the words you just uttered have extremely serious implications. Yes, but the defense believes that the details about the case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And, in fact, considering the particular clue we have, there's really only one person that could be. Who is the person in question, counsel? Who gave this witness details of the crime scene to facilitate his false testimony? Oh boy. Shame on you, Tobias.
Take that!
The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson.
Huh? Me?
Objection!
You had better have some proof to substantiate such a rash claim, my learned friend. Consider the fact that we have only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learned of it only during the course of the trial today. Indeed, preparations for his testimony were made with great urgency during our hour-long recess. While the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communications station. And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have had no idea. No inkling that he would suddenly be required to appear in court. Are you suggesting that until such time as he was summoned? Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the peephole. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position. That he would have to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder. You're suggesting to the court that it was while this trial was in progress that he received the information, so that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin. Exactly. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation that he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson.
This is a bloomin' outrage. Why would I be giving away details of our investigations to this fella, eh?
Hum, hum, up, 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 hum, hum. I love that animation so much.
I was summoned to his lordship's chambers during the recess in any case. Have you forgotten that?
Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawnbrokery. Which means the first time these two laid eyes on one another was after proceedings resumed following the recess. Since then, they've been in full view of the stand, where such illicit discussions couldn't possibly have occurred.
No, we
literally saw them do it.
Ugh. Oh, I've just remembered something, Runo.
What is it, Iris?
There was one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Ginny was testifying.
Oh, yes, now you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve McGilda's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it. It was during that I remember finding it strange at the time. Mr. Graydon and the inspector seemed to be having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then. You little
toe rag! You're making all this up. I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke?
Admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no gain. But perhaps it was part of a deal of some kind. Then it starts to make more sense. What deal, Counsel? I wonder if perhaps in exchange for details about the people in the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. I'm sure I need not remind the inspector that, if found to be true, striking a deal of any kind with a witness would be considered a gross case of malfeasance.
Well,
Objection!
It's becoming clear that jumping in with accusations is this Nipponese student's specialty.
I don't do that.
But with the stakes so high, the prosecution is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent on the defense now to present evidence in support of this diabolical claim.
Evidence?
Just what are you proposing that the inspector demanded of the witness in return? The court must see proof of this alleged deal. If Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon, then logically there's only one thing he could have asked for. That must be it.
Or no? Do you think it could be...
Yes. It's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle. I must press you for an answer now, Counsel. What evidence explains the nature of the alleged deal that Inspector Gregson made with a witness?
The leaked info? Right, we need to wonder, what is it that Ashley Milverton possesses that he can give away? He doesn't have possession of the disc right now. But why would Gregson want international secrets? I mean, we know Gregson is very, very particular about what is said of him in Iris's works, but this isn't Ashley's to give away. In fact, I don't think Ashley even knows this exists, so I don't think it's that. I look through this evidence, and the only thing I can think of is Ashley's capacity to leak more information should he walk free. But how does that tie everything together? That is the question. I don't think that answers why he would go to the lengths of
killing Windibank. What would he gain by killing the Windibank? I mean, clearly Ashley was after the disc, but he doesn't have it right now. It's in the court's possession. I feel like the answer might be obvious, but... Maybe I can make a guess here, and if I get it wrong, the dialogue that follows will give me another clue to work with. I'm gonna try it. Maybe what Gregson wanted was leaked government secrets.
Take that!
This, my lord, this shows exactly what the deal between these two men was all about. Well, Inspector, what do you have to say for yourself? Yeah, I failed. Dear me, it would appear this answer has in no way satiated your appetite. Some of that bite should be directed at my learned friend, I feel.
Ugh! I'm very surprised at Gregsy. Must have been a compelling reason for him to give away case secrets like that.
Well, what's the most important thing to the inspector? What could have motivated him to do it?
Is it the book? What? Huh. Well, most Scotland Yard inspectors that I know would put nothing above their duty to policing.
So do we have some evidence that's related to the inspector and his duties, I wonder? The manuscript? What?
Take that!
What? What? What is important to Gregson besides this? What? To his duties? Wait, I mean, Stronhart put Gregson in charge of finding the leak of government secrets, right? It's really, yeah. Maybe it's the disc. Ties all things together. This does seem to be what everyone wanted. I think it might be this. I'm willing to take this risk.
Take that!
Inspector Gregson, besides this murder, is it not true that you've been working on another very important case?
What? Are you getting that now, Sunshine?
Is it possible that this other top secret case is what's alluded to in this newspaper article here? Explain to me Why? I showed the newspaper. And it was wrong? And yet it's the first thing Ryunosuke's bringing up here? Excuse me? I'm mad. I'm upset. Zephyr's getting upset. Okay. The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice. How the bleeding Nora could you? We discovered during the course of this trial the music box deposited at Windibanks by Magnus McGilded. A special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon in which you exchanged the disc for details of the case.
You little harg.
Ordar! 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 On the day of the incident, when we met you at Windibanks, you said this. I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over.
No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is, mine.
I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. Scotland Yard already knew at that time, isn't that right? That Magnus McGilded was involved in the stealing of government secrets. My orders were recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information.
Blimey, not likely. I mean, I wasn't sure of it myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all.
Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness? To aid and abet this man in giving false testimony? There's no other way that Mr. Graydon could have known of the existence of the peephole. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these 2 men.
No! Gah!
Objection!
If, and I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here in this very courtroom.
Wait, what?
In this room? How could you possibly make a claim like that? Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective.
What? What's that supposed to mean, eh?
As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly, he would not have accepted a gentleman's agreement in this matter. No, he would have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand. Good gracious! Then you mean to say Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession? He has the second disc actually on his person?
Yes!
The defense demands that the inspector is searched at once.
Definitely. They could only have struck a deal with each other when Ginny was testifying before. And Gregsy hasn't moved from the witness stand once.
My lord, please, order an examination of his personal effects immediately. Well, Inspector? This young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He's insulted me and my profession quite enough. However, if it'll put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts about my involvement, then I'll happily submit to a body search. He moved it. What? He's going to agree to it? I presume you're aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my learned student friend. You've made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following the search of the inspector's personal effects, no disc is found, you will be deemed unfit for court service. This trial will end, and my country's government will formally demand of yours that you are severely reprimanded. That sounds serious. Indeed. To have a visiting student make such a defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force is not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook.
You're just threatening Runo because you're scared.
The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences. It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here. Very well, Counsel. You know the implications, so let me ask you one final time. Yes, my lord. Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects? Yeah, I think he handed it off to the Skulkin brothers. If I withdraw the request, I'd still be punished for making a baseless accusation. If I search him, well, Gregson was so happy and confident. He's confident it won't be found if he's searched. There's only one choice here. Search someone else. Yes, the defense formally demands the search be conducted. Well, don't say you weren't warned. But your typical Nipponese stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good. Fair enough. I've got nothing to hide. Very well then. Ryunosuke? Can you...
Objection!
Okay. For a hot second, I thought I accidentally selected the wrong option. Oh, the defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson. What?
Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me.
No, Inspector, not you. Somebody else.
What's the meaning of all this, eh? Lost it at last, have you, sunshine?
The court shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational. Be quiet, all of you. Oh.
Runo's doing what you all told him to do and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way.
Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction, and eagerly awaits his next words.
You what? Don't be so hasty, my lord.
If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure I know who has that disc at the moment. There's only one person it can be. Counsel, of whom do you request this search now? Okay, let's logic this through. Gregson and Ashley made a deal. Ashley handed the disc that Gregson so coveted over to him. But now, Gregson has handed it to someone else to hide it. On one hand, it would make more complete sense to hand it back to Graydon because, well, he's complicit in this deal. He knows what's what. But Ashley, well, all eyes are on him. He's in the spotlight. There's a risk he may very well be sentenced and escorted off to prison. But no one's really paying any attention to the Skulkin brothers, and honestly, they've been weirdly quiet this video. I'm used to them having outbursts and speaking up out of turn, but I haven't heard a peep out of them. Plus, Nash here is the man standing directly next to Gregson. I trust in my intuition. Please, game, don't make me regret this. Don't make me replay the last 45 minutes. I could drop a save here. That wouldn't be interesting now, would it? Do it for the content and all that. Oh boy.
Take that!
Of my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin. Well, I never.
Huh? Me?
In? Very well then, bailiff. Restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effects.
Hold it!
Please, my lord. Oh my god, I think I got it. Inspector?
Scotland Yard, has to object to this search.
Objection!
Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here.
Huh?
In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object.
But Lord Van Zeeks.
I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial. Ugh! Bailiff, carry out the search.
Now hold on, Mo. I don't know nothing. Nothing about no disc. Cut it out!
God. Here, my lord, in the witness's pocket. I found this. Good lord, that's another music box disc.
I don't know nothing about it, nothing.
That is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilded. Is it not, Inspector Gregson? Ordar, Ordar, Ordar. Mr. Skulkin, what have you to say for yourself?
Gordon Bennett. I mean just Gordon Flamin' Bennett. I swear I didn't know nothing about that disc, honest to God.
Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck was between this witness and this detective, no? Without question, my lord. Then for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc that the inspector traded for information? Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. Huh? News to me. But at one particular point in this trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment. I don't recall. What unusual behavior? It was... yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? I admit to nothing of the sort. While Mr. Graydon answered my questions, the inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by his coat and was shaking him violently.
Yeah, he did it all. Thought me noggin was gonna fall clean off, I did. I was wishing I'd been born as me brother, I was.
And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that?
I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned and grabbed me whistle like that and started shaking me. Why the blazes didn't you mention the third gun when he got you down to the station? That's what he said. Yelled it right down my ear hole, he did. And your head's still throbbing now.
The way the detective behaved then was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been then that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc. Well, bless my wig, he hid it.
Phew.
But I'm afraid I failed to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence. It would appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at liberty to do that. Why ever not? As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special conditions. My orders were: recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. Hush-hush? A top-secret assignment, is it? As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if that information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector? I'm operating under direct orders from the Ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question. So, realizing there was a chance that you may be searched here in court, you took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness. Oh, does this mean? He only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him to slip the second disc into his pocket. So it was all a pretense. Well now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon. Are you prepared to admit to the accusation made against you of this alleged deal? Admit to it? Yours truly, please. Mr. Graydon, clearly our Eastern visitor has an uncommonly active imagination. However, there's no proof that I passed that disc to the inspector.
Objection!
But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole? I'm under no obligation to explain. What? Yes, I lied in my testimony, that I admit, so sentence me accordingly. But that is all I admit. Murder, leaking government secrets, striking a deal with a detective. All of it is this young Eastern man's fancy. I have no idea what any of this is about. You... what? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc? Ladies and gents of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I am acting in the best interest of the country. Whatever I've done has been in the name of justice. So, as members of the public of this fine country, I'd like to think that justice will be your guiding light when you're making your decisions. Uh-oh. This is quite a quandary indeed. Rarely have I encountered such extraordinary tumultuousness in the concluding of a trial. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury for their final leanings. I'm kind of tempted to end the video here. I feel like we're about to do one last hurrah with presenting something in court, and then it's on to the wrap-up and the credits and everything. That could last a very long time. I could press on and make this an extra long video and make it the finale of this game. Or I could end things here and just have a nice, concise, hour-long video. Yeah, okay. I think you already know going by the length of this video, but I've made up my mind. I'm gonna end things here. Whew, boy. It's come down to the wire, hasn't it? And I have quite enjoyed playing around with just one little pip of life left. Oh boy. Fly close to the sun. I do like flying very close to the sun. The thrill is nice. Sometimes it pays off, and this is one of those moments. Hopefully, I can move onward here, and keep up my victorious streak. Unless you count that time I got a lot wrong, but hey, you saw that what happened. The first thing I presented was the newspaper. It was incorrect. Then when I did end up presenting the correct thing, the first thing Ryunosuke said was, hey, look at this newspaper. I'm very mad about that. Stupid. I'm salty. I'm salty like that delicious pretzel I had the other day. Oh, I love pretzels. Soft and doughy and salty. And so greasy. Oh. What were we talking about? Right, when it comes to Gregson, I actually can't tell for sure. Maybe he's actually telling the truth about doing all this for the good of the country, doing whatever it took to get that disc, fulfill his mission for the sake of state security, even if it means aiding and abetting this clearly defined criminal. I can't tell. Is Gregson legit and just doing dirty work to get it done? Or is he actually corrupt and actually colluding from the start? I can't tell. I kind of hope it's the former. Because I like Gregson. He's a cool character. And I hope he's okay. But I'll be honest, as far as special agents go, he's got nothing on my main man Hosonaga. And speaking of Hosonaga, there are a few characters I'm surprised we haven't seen at all. Remember back in the previous case we got that very quick glimpse of those two strange characters? That foppish dandy who was fruity as all hell and dressed like some medieval prince, and that yellow garb man with a huge chin? What the hell's their deal? And what's the deal with Miss Green? What's going on with her? She must have lived for a reason. I like... Look, either this game has 6 cases, or this plot will just continue on to the next game. I don't get it. What is the deal with all these characters we haven't seen in forever? And, like, what's the deal with Mr. Mikotoba back in Japan? He seemed really important, but overall he's, like, kind of been a bit player. What's going on with him? Is he really ill? Like, maybe in the next game we'll go to Japan to solve the mystery of whoever, like, poisoned Mr. Mikotoba or whatever. Who knows? I don't know. Oh, man. This game has certainly captured my imagination. I can't stop thinking about this game and the plotline and everything. But I'm pretty dang confident that next video we will finish this first game in the Chronicles collection. And from there it's on to the special episodes and then the sequel game. Oh, I'm hyped. Oh man. And honestly, by the time I finish off the second game and just finish Ace Attorney Chronicles here, just completely, that fancy schmancy upcoming collection of games 4, 5, and 6 will come out, and then I can play through Ace Attorney 5 and 6. But honestly, I'll probably burnt out by Ace Attorney. I'll probably want to play something else in the meantime, in between, so... who knows? That's the future. Looking forward to it. The future is bright. So bright. I'm Zephyr the Jester. This has been more Ace Attorney Chronicles. The great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Don't forget the great. Thank you for watching. Hopefully, I'll catch you next time. So until then, please take care.